Hey, welcome back. This is John. Today we're going to talk about how to calm your mind in 7 days. Because maybe lately your mind has felt like it never really turns off. You're trying to relax, but you keep thinking. You're trying to pray, but your thoughts keep pulling you in 10 different directions. You're trying to rest, but your mind keeps acting like everything is urgent. And it doesn't really make sense, right? Have you been there? Because part of you knows not everything is an emergency, and part of you knows you can't keep living in this constant mental noise. But when it actually happens, it still feels hard to stop. And then you start wondering, why am I like this lately? Why can't I just calm down? Why does my mind keep going back to the same thoughts? If that's where you've been, I want to walk through this in a really simple, honest way with you. I think what's happening here is more understandable than it feels. And more importantly, it can change. Not by forcing your mind to be quiet, but by learning a different response. So, what does this actually feel like? Well, when your mind is constantly running, it can feel like you're never fully present anywhere. Even on a normal day, you may look fine on the outside, but internally your thoughts are still moving. You're replaying conversations. You're thinking ahead. You're trying to prevent problems. Maybe mentally checking on things over and over again. How about trying to get relief by thinking a little more? Have you ever noticed that? You see, that's part of what makes this so exhausting. Because it's not just one big anxious moment. A lot of the time, it's the constant background noise. And in real life, that can start affecting everything. Your focus gets weaker, rest feels harder, prayer feels interrupted, peace starts feeling far away, and this is where most people get stuck, get in this rut, get in this process that's gone around. We assume that the solution is to think our way out of overthinking. But that usually doesn't work. You see, if the mind is already overloaded, adding more mental effort usually just creates more mental noise. So why does it feel so convincing? Let me explain it this way. The reason this pattern keeps repeating is because it feels productive. You see, that's the trap. Overthinking can feel responsible. It can feel like you're being prepared. It can feel like you're staying ahead. It can even feel spiritual sometimes. Like if you just think long enough, you'll finally get clarity. But what's actually happening is different. Your mind is staying active because it has learned to equate control with safety. So when something feels uncertain, your thoughts speed up. They start searching, scanning, trying to solve, trying to predict. And part of you believes, if I can just figure this out, I'll feel better. But have you noticed? Most of the time, you don't. You feel more tired. That is so frustrating, isn't it? You see, you're putting in more effort mentally, but feeling less peace emotionally. That contradiction matters. So, what's the problem that most people misunderstand? You know, this next part is important for us to grasp. You see, because a lot of people assume the problem is my thoughts are too strong. But I don't think that's the real issue. The real issue isn't that you have too many thoughts. It's that your mind has learned to respond to discomfort by staying in constant problem solving mode. You see, that's the cycle. Something feels uncertain, your mind reacts with urgency, you start chasing thoughts. That creates more mental pressure, and more pressure makes your mind even less calm. So the mind starts practicing panic as a pattern. That's why this feels so automatic. And that's also why just telling yourself to stop thinking doesn't work. You see, you're not just dealing with thoughts, you're dealing with a trained response. And once you understand that, the goal changes. You stop trying to win a fight with your mind and you start teaching your mind a different pattern. That's where this begins to shift. And that's what the whole Transform to Live program is about. Renewing our minds. You know, if you're listening to this and thinking, I need more structure than this. I need something I can actually follow. Well, I put together a free download. It's called the Calm Your Mind Reset Guide. It's designed to help you work through this in a simple, practical way. You know, and if you want to go deeper, a step-by-step version, I also created the Calm Your Mind in 7 Days. It's a more in-depth reset to help you build this pattern day by day. Both of the links are in the description down below. So, what is this doing to us? Well, it matters what it's doing because constant mental overwhelm doesn't stay in one category. Mentally, it makes it harder to focus, harder to settle, harder to think clearly. Emotionally, it creates tension, irritability, fatigue. You know, that worn down feeling where even small things feel like too much? Spiritually, it can make it harder to notice God's presence. Harder to pray without distraction. Harder to feel grounded in truth because your mind is moving too fast to receive it. So if you've been thinking, maybe I'm just failing, or maybe I'm just not disciplined enough, that may not be the most accurate reading of what's going on. You see, it may be that your mind is overloaded and your whole inner world is feeling the weight of it. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means your mind needs retraining, not condemnation. So, what do we actually do with all of this? Well, here's some practical steps or advice that we can use. If you want to calm your mind in 7 days, the goal is not perfection. The goal is to interrupt the pattern and begin building a new one. So, here are the practical steps. Step number 1. Notice the spiral sooner. You see, the first step is learning to catch the pattern early, before you get fully pulled in. Pause and ask yourself, what is my mind doing right now? Is it solving something real? Or is it spinning because something feels uncertain? You know, that question is important because when you notice the spiral sooner, you have a chance to respond before it takes over. In real life, this might look like catching yourself mentally replaying the same thought for the 5th time and saying, okay, I can feel my mind speeding up. You see, that's not failure. That's awareness. And awareness is where change begins. So ask yourself, what does the spiral usually sound like for me? Step number 2. Stop treating every thought like an instruction. You see, this is where a lot changes. Because not every thought deserves your full attention. Some thoughts are useful, some are honest signals, and some are just trying to sound urgent. What I've noticed is that people often stay stuck because they automatically follow every thought that shows up. A thought says, for an example, you need to figure this out right now, and then they obey it. A thought says, what if something goes wrong? And they chase it. But here's where it gets tricky. A thought can feel urgent without being important. The next time your mind starts rushing, ask, is this something I need to respond to, or just something I'm feeling pressure to solve? You see, that question creates space, and space is how calm starts coming back. Step number 3, calm your body on purpose. This part's important because the mind and the body work together. If your breathing is shallow, your chest is tight, and your whole body is tense, your mind is going to keep reading, that is danger. So sometimes the fastest way to help your mind is to calm your body first. Slow your breathing. Relax your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Sit still for a minute instead of pacing internally and externally. Simple things matter here. When this actually happens, try this. Take one slow breath in, exhale longer than you inhaled, and then do it again. You're not trying to force peace. You're creating conditions for it. So be honest. When your mind gets overwhelmed, do you usually slow your body down, or do you speed everything up? Step number 4, replace urgency with truth. A calm mind is not built by emptying your thoughts. It's built by giving your thoughts something truer to stand on. So when your mind says, I have to solve this right now, your answer with something more grounded. Maybe it sounds like, I don't need to solve everything in this moment. Or, I can handle this one step at a time. Or you can say something like, God is with me in this, even if I don't have the full answer yet. Not everything that feels urgent is urgent. You see, that's not denial. That's recentering. This is where you shift from reacting to every thought to leading your mind with truth. And this is what growth actually looks like. So step number 5. Practice one new response for 7 days. This is where it becomes real. If you want a calmer mind, don't try to change everything at once. Pick one response and repeat it for 7 days. Maybe your response would be pause before reacting. That's actually a pretty good one. Breathe before solving. Condition your body. Question the thought before believing it. How about pray before spiraling? Come back to one grounding truth each day. Why does this matter? Because your mind changes through repetition. You trained it into panic patterns over time. You can also train it into calmer patterns over time. You're starting to become someone who doesn't automatically chase every anxious thought. You see, you're becoming someone who notices, pauses, and responds differently. That's the shift. So ask yourself this question. What is one response I want to practice for the next 7 days? So what does the deeper transformation look like? Well, if I had to sum this up simply, it would be something like this. You're not just trying to get rid of anxious thoughts. You're learning how to become someone who knows what to do when anxious thoughts show up. You see, that's different. This is where you shift from reacting to responding, urgency to steadiness, mental chasing to mental clarity, pressure to peace building habits. You know, most people miss this. A calm mind is usually not the result of one big breakthrough. It's the result of repeated small responses that retrain your inner life over time. That should actually be a relief because it means you do not have to fix yourself all in one day. You just need to start practicing something better today. So if your mind has felt loud lately, if you've been mentally tired, if you've been stuck in cycles of overthinking and internal urgency, you're not alone. And you're not failing because your mind has been hard to calm. What matters now is that you begin responding differently. Notice the spiral. Stop obeying every thought. Calm your body. Replace urgency with truth. Practice one new response for 7 days. Keep it simple. You do not need to master this all at once. You just need to begin. You know, and if you want help with that, download the free Calm Your Mind Reset Guide below. And if you're ready for more in-depth study and a step-by-step process, get Calm Your Mind in 7 days. Both are in the link descriptions below. You know, thanks for being with us. I appreciate your time. I hope this has been a blessing to you. And let me say a blessing for you in closing. God bless you. May your mind begin to feel lighter. May your thoughts become quieter. May you have the clarity to notice what is pulling you into pressure and the wisdom to respond with truth instead. May God meet you in the middle of the noise, steady you where you feel overwhelmed, and teach you day by day how to live with more peace. And may this be the beginning of a new pattern, not one built on fear and urgency, but one built on calm, trust, and steady clarity. You have a great day. God bless.